It is Washington Examiner Wednesday, and here on Jimmy at the Crossroads with yours truly, Jimmy Sengenberger, we like to spend our Wednesday guest segment talking with someone at the Examiner about some of the big stories of the day. And there is a fascinating report that came out last week in the Examiner by Josh Siegel, who joins us now, on Joe Biden and his liberal climate policies actually instilling fear in a lot of unions, a traditional Democratic constituency. Washington Examiner's energy and environment reporter Josh Siegel joins us now here on Jimmy at the Crossroads. Josh, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
This really was a great and extensive report. You interviewed a variety of union officials over a series of weeks in order to get a good sense for how they're feeling, especially about the increasingly radicalized views, many would argue, myself included, of Joe Biden when it comes to climate change issues. Give us sort of the overarching premise of your report, Josh.
Yeah, so I think Joe Biden, he presents a kind of a conflict for some of these blue collar union voters in states like Pennsylvania, where, everyone I interviewed in this story, again, they represent building trades. So guys who do construction on pipelines or at a manufacturing plant, for example. These guys, they're all Democrats, and they all, said to a man that they naturally kind of like Joe Biden before, just based on his history. But they are kind of concerned about his climate policies, which, would try to transition the economy off fossil fuels over time. He doesn't kind of explicitly say no more fossil fuels, but he has goals such as achieving, zero carbon electricity entirely by 2035. That would make it very difficult for fossil fuels to have a place, in 15 years beyond a very small role. So, yeah, I mean, I ended up speaking with six or so union leaders, different unions across Western Pennsylvania and Southeastern Pennsylvania. These are areas that went to President Trump in 2016, kind of very much based on the promises he made around reviving coal and steel industries that were very important to these areas. And these guys who I spoke with, I'd say they're open-minded, Biden, but they're definitely concerned about what he's putting out on climate. And they're saying that they're going to, most of these guys are going to vote first with who they think is going to be better for their jobs of their members. And that's President Trump, even though they definitely have concerns about Trump more broadly and around, these are unions and they more align with Democrats naturally. So that concern is still there. But yeah, as it stands right now, I'd say they are, majority are likely to go Trump because of what we're seeing with his climate policies.
Those particularly in these industries that are either directly tied to energy production, so natural gas, oil in particular, and those industries that maybe are connected to this energy producing sector.
Yeah, exactly. These are so. It's important, I think, to differentiate. There are a lot of unions who actually like Biden's climate plans.
Right.
We've seen the United Auto Workers endorse it. We've seen a union of utilities endorse his plan. So these are the unions we're talking about are what they call the building trades. These are guys who like, build pipelines. They get into a natural gas plant and help, install the piping, oil refineries. These are, oil and gas historically been very unionized. They're high paying. The membership in these unions are definitely fossil fuel, prevalent. Whereas other unions who might not have that same exposure, which might explain why they're more open-minded to what Biden is saying. Because what's interesting is Biden is actually positioning his climate plans as potentially beneficial to unions because he sees an opportunity in building, electric vehicles, building windmills, a new energy economy, as he calls it. And he kind of seems to think that you can transition a lot of these workers to building those kind of things. But what's challenging when you talk to these unions, renewable jobs, wind, solar jobs, these aren't generally as unionized as fossil fuels. The skills aren't exactly, equatable. So there is a concern around transition. There's been these promises before, and there's kind of skepticism on if they'll be fulfilled.
Once again, Josh Siegel is our guest here on Jimmy at the Crossroads, Washington Examiner's energy and environment reporter. One thing, I want to read a line. This is early on in your report. Again, the article available at WashingtonExaminer.com is entitled Biden's Liberal Climate Policies Feared by Unions in Pennsylvania. It is a gentleman named Jim Cassidy, and I'd love for you to tell us about him. But Joe Biden is really one of us. I always loved the man. He scares me now. Is he embracing the new Green Deal or whatever they are calling it? He needs to get some stuff straight. Now, Mr. Cassidy says he's going to vote for Joe Biden, but his fears are something that seem to be shared by a heck of a lot of union members. And again, unions are a traditionally Democratic constituency.
Yeah, I thought Jim was really appropriate to kind of lead this story with, because I just thought he represented the heart of this conflict. This is a guy who represents a union, outside Pittsburgh. He has a photo in his office of him and Joe Biden just from 2 years ago when, Biden was visiting the area to campaign for Connor Lamb, the U.S. House member, a Democrat, centrist Democrat from that area. So, but at the same time, as you said, that quote was very strong. He's concerned about where Biden is going on climate, although what you hear from some of these guys is there is somewhat of a that maybe Biden, they kind of understand the politics, that he kind of has to, he's getting a lot of pressure from the base of his party, from trying to inspire enthusiasm from young people in the Democratic Party who have made climate change a priority. So he's trying to kind of do a few things here, but without offending these unions, and he's kind of tried to make a distinction from a Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren by saying he's not going to ban fracking, which is the practice that helped unleash the oil and gas boom in the U.S. over the last decade. So yeah, I think that this representative of he's kind of he's definitely very concerned, but he again is not he says he's going to ultimately vote for Biden. We'll see if he lives up to that, but again, giving open-mindedness to what his background is and what the alternative is as far as what it means, what Trump means to unions more broadly.
Yeah, Josh, I think that one of the big things that is concerning a lot of these folks is the involvement of Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is one example. Of course, she is the lead advocate of the Green New Deal. She has been involved in shaping Biden's climate policy now. And I think that's something that really, that imagery and knowing what she stands for and having her now heavily involved in shaping Biden's climate policy helps to underscore why they would even feel this way in the first place.
Yeah, for sure. I think as one of the union guys made the point at the end, I thought it was just kind of really fitting and descriptive of how our politics work. But most people aren't tuned into the day in, day out. They're not going to read Joe Biden's detailed climate plan that he put out last week, but they are going to see images of Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Bernie Sanders. These are very liberal members who were on a shared policy task force with Biden when Biden tried to show that he's reaching out to all types of constituencies within the party, and they're kind of hanging on to that, as that headline. He's worked with AOC and Bernie to say that he's going too liberal on climate, and also looking at I mentioned a debate mistake that Biden made where he kind of suggested he might ban fracking in the spur of the moment. His campaign has tried to back away from that. He's subsequent interviews, Biden has said, no, I don't want to ban fracking. That was so. But people, hang on to those, need to understand, kind of quick sound bites, photos, imagery. So, Biden's going to have to overcome those perceptions that exist.
Thanks for watching this clip from Jimmy at the Crossroads. You do not want to miss a minute of engaging, intelligent talk. Subscribe today to the Jimmy at the Crossroads YouTube channel, and you'll be sure to catch our live broadcast. I appreciate your support.
I got Jimmy at the crossroads, making sense out of no sense. Yeah.